welcome back to Two Blondes and A Brokerage. Today we have Nicole here, and we're going to talk about the big, hairy, ugly appraisal gap and what we're seeing in the market. So fill us in.
Yes. So, yeah, that happened.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
So buyers decided that they wanted homes, and we've hit rock bottom when it comes to inventory. And people keep talking about, is there going to be a bubble? And it's absolutely 100% impossible, really, at this point. And I should probably say 99% because there's always a chance. But there's a strong buyer demand. We have a massive birth rate 30 years ago, which is creating a demand now. Freddie Mac had put out a report showing that average first-time home buyer is 33 years old. So we have years left, is what that means, right? And then we have inventory shortages because you have aging population that wants to age in place because they're afraid with COVID, or they're locked in their interest rate with these historically low interest rates. And you have people like us who are keeping the homes instead of selling them when they go buy the next one and turning it into an investment. So you have the millennials, you have the investors, you have the aging in place. All is putting a tightness on inventory. So this heightened demand is scrapping for every house that it can find. I mean, we only have 223,000 homes available to put a contract on United States wide. I mean, there are 3.3 million people in the Denver market. So when we have under 2,000 homes here, we have 1,200 homes here. It's just, when you hear the numbers here locally, it's incredible. We're shifting before weekend by hundreds,
Yeah.
right?
By
It's like,
day.
when we do the Friday market update and we talk about the fact of pulling the data on Wednesday versus Thursday, we had 400 more homes. 400? What is that going to solve?
Yep.
Nothing. The answer is nothing. It solves
Zero.
nothing for us.
So people are willing to pay more than it's worth. But the cost, the payback is so fast right now because of our appreciation. We grew in appreciation 21% year over year. So to pay back the extra $70,000 that I might have put on that home, it might take me 14 months or 18 months. I can live with that.
Yeah.
Every once in a while you see a house that's listed at $625, but it goes for $750 or $780. Well, now that's going to take 48 months. Is that right for me? That's the question. How long will I be in that home? Is this the best use of my money? There's so many questions that you've got to ask. So as we see this gap between what people are willing to pay and what the list price is based on the market, because you guys do a great job of listing your homes, you didn't put it up there because it didn't comp out up there, right? It comped out down here because of the other homes that were available for sale. So when somebody offers $70,000, $100,000, $150,000 over asking, an appraiser's got to determine, is that where the market is? And they have a very due diligence. I mean, appraisers are very highly scrutinized today because of what happened in 2008.
Right.
So they have to do comp on comp on comp. And when I say comp, comparables, right? So they have to build up all these comparables to show the value. So we are seeing that some of those are not coming in, but shockingly, not as much as I would have thought. So about 21% in the Denver market are coming in low. And it could be 5,000 low, 10,000 low. I mean, it doesn't mean that it's all the way back at list.
Right.
Most times it's somewhere in between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So you do run that risk here in the Denver market specifically. That's Colorado. Here in the Denver market, it's less. It's closer to 14% are coming in low. So a buyer has to go in, eyes wide open. What happens if that appraisal comes in low? Because many times we're waiving appraisals. But for the loan, I still have to get one.
Right, right. We
So
can't just pretend it doesn't exist, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, you can waive it, but I need it. And when it comes in low, I have to shift the loan to value. And it could be that person is putting so much down that maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I keep the loan the same, the cash on to close is the same, but the loan to value has shifted based on that value now being the appraised value versus the contract price. So it might change some dynamics of the loan, but I might be able to keep it the same, or that person might have to bring more money to the closing table, which is one of the cool reasons why I think we have some great programs for that. Like we have a jumbo program with only 3.5% down. Well, if I put 10 or 15 or 20% down as a jumbo and the appraisal comes in low, now I can shift them into a lower down payment option and still keep their cash to close the same. So, working with a lender that kind of understands what might happen, and working with a real estate agent that tells the lender,
Right.
Hey, I know that they were low on the list, we're over on the contract, it's probably gonna come in around here. Well, then I can pre-game, right, some strategies for that buyer versus that oh shit factor when I get the appraisal,
Yes.
right? But yeah, it's happening. It will continue to happen until we start to see inventory come back up. Nationwide, the inventory's kind of hit the bottom, and it is starting to come back up. But here locally, we're starting to feel like there's a little bit less listings, but not so much so that we're still seeing these extravagant over askings. Interesting, last year when we started to see a little grace in the inventory, now we're not going to a bounce market, we're not going to, you've got to, it's going to sit on the market for a month.
Right.
But if I could go from 4 days on the market to 6,
Ooh,
or,
big time.
or 2 weekends instead of 1, that just changes the anxiety around what we're doing, and it will drop the amount that you have to go over asking to get the deal.
Right.
Well, it's almost become an expectation, which is
Yeah.
kind of sad, because now have this preconceived notion that there's no way we can go in and asking. There's no way, if you're approved at 450, we can't even look at anything unless it's like 375, because we know
Right.
we have to have this huge gap. So I'd like to see it settle a little, but it's nice to know that there are options with programs. Your 401k, we talked about it on another podcast, of borrowing against your 401k or pulling it if you're not gonna get dinged. But there are options within working out the numbers that I think people don't understand. They think, well, okay, if it came in 75 under, I have to pay 75. And for some people that might be the case, but there are a lot of options to kind of maneuver those numbers around to benefit you, so their cash to close does stay the same and you're not having to come up with that exorbitant amount.
100%. But that's really only the case if you're putting the minimum down. Like if you're putting 3% down and you don't qualify for down payment assistance, you will have to bring that difference. But even if you're putting 3% down and I can flip you to a CHFA down payment assistance, I can edge into that $75,000 with down payment assistance, or anything over 5%, all I gotta do is modify using mortgage insurance to help offset. So there's a ton of strategies.
And getting creative and having that A team, like we talked about, is key, because there are some buyers that are losing great homes because they don't have the right people in their corner to make sure that they are submitting a killer offer with options. So I think it's super important with these. I mean, and they still are exorbitant. These gaps are huge, but we know personally things are appraising with those exorbitant gaps.
Right.
Thankfully,
Right.
but in case they don't, there are ways to get through it. So
I think as a first-time home buyer too, it's huge to know that CHFA or Genoa or whatever
scary to think.
is available, because you may have $20,000 to put down, and it may end up being $20,000 in appraisal gap coverage and down payment assistance. And so as long as you know what you have going into it, and a team of people that can help you kind of route after you found the right home, right? And I think too, for first-time buyers, to know that, like, yes, we're seeing crazy over asking, right? We set those expectations early, but to know that the appreciation is coming right behind you and you're gonna be in a positive spot very soon.
It's worth that risk.
Waiting is not the answer, right? And we talk about that with interest rates too, right? Like the right time to buy is yesterday.
Yep.
So don't wait hoping for things to slow down or interest rates to go down or whatever, because one, you can refinance, but you cannot get these purchase prices back where we're at today. And I think that's huge for first-time home buyers to know, because everyone wants to wait to be in a better position, and really the best position is yesterday. So
Jump on the train now.
yeah,
Where it leaves you. Far
yes,
behind.
yes.
Well, and especially with this high appreciation, and it's not gonna stop. I mean, with everything that we're seeing with Russia and Ukraine creating a commodities war, we're gonna continue to see inflation, and as long as that's the case, home ownership is the number one hedge against inflation.
Yep.
So you might pay a little more, but if you figure out, well, what is my return on that? How long will I have to be in this home in order to make that money back based on the appreciation? And then what else could I be doing with my money? This is the place to put it.
No,
Right.
it's key. Real estate's best investment. We'll say it 100 times till we're blue in the face.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Nicole. That's
Yes.
super helpful. If you guys have any questions, you can reach out. We can get you in touch directly with Nicole. But we'll see you next time.